Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The most shocking Yellowstone deaths that changed the Dutton family forever. The Dutton family saga has been defined by blood and sacrifice since Yellowstone first aired in 2018. Through 5 seasons, viewers have witnessed a staggering body count that rivals any modern drama, with each death serving as a pivotal moment in the ranch's storied history. From the series premiere to the controversial final season, mortality has remained the show's most consistent theme, with characters meeting their ends in ways both brutally unexpected and poetically fitting. These deaths haven't merely been plot devices, but transformative events that redefined power dynamics and altered the trajectory of the Dutton legacy. After Kevin Costner's departure forced creator Taylor Sheridan to dramatically restructure the show's endgame, the final episodes delivered a violent conclusion to what began as a story about preserving a way of life. Through it all, Yellowstone reminds us that the only things that count are the things that last. The death that fundamentally changed Yellowstone's entire trajectory occurred when John Dutton, Kevin Costner, was murdered in his bed at the governor's mansion. Initially ruled a suicide, Casey's military training helped him spot the truth. Professional assassins had executed his father. The revelation sent shockwaves through Montana and the Dutton family, launching the revenge-fueled final arc of the series. John's assassination marked the culmination of Jamie's betrayal, having hired killers through Sarah Atwood to remove the obstacle to his development plans. Despite Costner's behind-the-scenes departure forcing this storyline, the show managed to craft a death worthy of the character's stature, one that echoed back to themes of legacy and land that had driven the series from its first episode. The sibling rivalry that defined Yellowstone reached its inevitable conclusion when Beth finally delivered on her promise to kill Jamie in the series finale. After John's funeral, Beth tracked Jamie down with bear spray and a knife, leading to a vicious fight that initially seemed to favor Jamie until Rip intervened. With her husband holding Jamie in place, Beth plunged her knife into her adopted brother's gut, whispering, "Look at me. I'm going to be the last thing you'll ever see." Beth's act of vengeance completed a circle of hatred that began when teenage Jamie took Beth for an abortion that resulted in her sterilization without consent. This murder represented not just revenge for her father, but for all the pain Jamie inflicted on her over the years. Afterward, Beth, Lloyd, and Rip disposed of Jamie's body at the train station, the Dutton family's nickname for the chasm where they've dumped bodies for generations. Sarah Atwood, Dawn Olivieri, the calculating market equities fixer, and Jamie's manipulative girlfriend, met a sudden end while on the phone with Jamie. As the only tangible link between Jamie and the assassins who killed John, she became a liability that couldn't be allowed to continue. Her death came just as Jamie's involvement in his father's murder was being uncovered, eliminating the key witness who could have confirmed his role. The clinical precision of Sarah's execution reflected her own calculating nature. She had orchestrated multiple deaths throughout her time on the show, only to find herself on the receiving end of similar deadly efficiency. Her relationship with Jamie had been built on mutual self-interest and ambition, making her death fitting as their shared scheme unraveled spectacularly. Ranch hand Colby, Denham Richards, had survived numerous threats throughout his time on the Yellowstone, from Wade Morrow's attacks to being trampled in a creek, only to meet his end unexpectedly just 2 episodes before the series finale. His death particularly devastated fellow wrangler Teeter, who subsequently decided to leave Montana for Texas, asking Travis for a job at the 6666 Ranch. Colby's loss represented the dissolution of the Yellowstone Ranch family, as the bunkhouse crew that had been together through thick and thin began scattering to the winds. His death marked another step in the inevitable end of the Dutton Ranch, as viewers had known it from the beginning. It's all the more gut-wrenching that Colby steps in to protect Carter from the wild horse, only to quickly meet his own demise over the selfless act. One of the most consequential deaths in Yellowstone occurred before the series even began. Evelyn Dutton's fatal horse riding accident, witnessed by young Beth and Case, cast a long shadow over the entire series. Beth, who felt responsible for her mother's death after panicking during the incident, carried this trauma throughout her adult life. Depicting Evelyn's death revealed much about the Dutton family dynamics, particularly explaining Beth's hardened exterior and complicated relationship with her father and brothers. This tragedy became the psychological foundation for many of the characters' motivations and flaws, particularly Beth's fierce protection of her father and ruthless approach to perceived enemies. The very first episode of Yellowstone delivered a shocking statement of intent when John's eldest son and heir apparent Lee Dutton, Dave Annable, was killed during a standoff over stolen cattle. His death at the hands of Robert Long, the brother of Case's wife Monica, established the series' unflinching approach to violence and created immediate tensions that would drive the first season. Lee's death created a power vacuum within the Dutton family, forcing John to reconsider succession plans for the ranch and drawing Case back into the family fold despite his resistance. The loss of his expected heir deepened John's resolve to protect the ranch at all costs, setting in motion the increasingly extreme measures he would take throughout the series. Real estate developer Dan Jenkins, Danny Houston, began as one of John Dutton's primary antagonists, before gradually becoming something closer to an ally. His death came at the hands of the Beck brothers, who had him hanged from a tree in a brutal display of frontier justice that harkened back to Montana's lawless past. Jenkins' death marked a turning point in the series, where the true nature of power in the region was revealed, not as a contest between old ranching money and new development interests, but as something darker and more primordial. His demise showed how quickly alliances could shift in the Yellowstone universe, with former enemies John and Jenkins finding common cause against greater threats. Season 3's shocking finale saw the coordinated attacks on the Dutton family, including a militia assault on the ranch that left multiple attackers dead as the action resumed in Season 4's first episode. The failed hit team's deaths foreshadowed the increasingly militarized nature of the conflicts surrounding the Yellowstone Ranch, as shadowy corporate interests replaced individual adversaries. The militia members' deaths and iconic shootout scene demonstrated the ranch hands' transformation into something more akin to soldiers than cowboys, with their loyalty to the Dutton brand extending to lethal force when necessary. This bloody confrontation set the stage for Season 4's themes of retribution and escalating violence. Jamie's biological father Garrett Randall, Will Patton, met his end at the hands of his own son in a pivotal Season 4 moment. After orchestrating the attacks on the Duttons, Randall's influence over Jamie created one of the series' most compelling psychological struggles. Jamie's decision to kill his birth father rather than face Beth's blackmail represented his final, tragic capitulation to the Dutton family's hold over him. The murder also represented Jamie's ultimate failure to escape the cycle of violence that defines the Dutton world. Despite his attempts to forge a separate identity through his biological father, Jamie proved himself a true Dutton in the most damning way possible, by choosing murder as a solution to his problems. Few deaths in Yellowstone have been as viscerally disturbing as Wade Morrow's Boot Sutherland. After terrorizing the ranch hands, Morrow was captured by Rip and the bunkhouse crew, who cut the Yellowstone brand from his chest before hanging him. This grisly execution served as both punishment for his betrayal of the ranch and a warning to others who might defy the Dutton Code. Morrow's death illustrated the quasi-religious significance of the Yellowstone brand within the show's mythology. More than just a cattle mark, it represents a sacred covenant that, once broken, can only be cleansed through blood. The ritualistic nature of his killing revealed how the ranch operates with its own moral code, separate from conventional law and ethics.